Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at the second episode of Drifters. Now, Drifters second episode was not too bad. I mean, it was a little bit what I expect from this type of, studio. I mean, Hellsing Ultimate had a lot of things that I had issues with, and there was some things that I noticed that Drifters is really already following very early on. So I feel that there are some issues with Drifters at the same time, but that's my kind of bias because I'm not a huge diehard fan of Hellsing Ultimate. I don't dislike Hellsing Ultimate, don't get me wrong. I actually think it's pretty cool. I love the animation and stuff like that. But Drifters is following that mold pretty closely. Now, let's just talk about this episode, and then I'll tell you more about the review at the end of this. But more so, when we start off at the beginning, we see that, we see these two guys. They look like they're one's from Roman and one's from Roman time period, and one looks like he might be from Greece or some form of, Athens. We'll say that. And we see that they're trying desperately to get these guys all together for some reason. Like, it looks like this guy from earlier with the binoculars and stuff like that is spying on them, looking at them fighting and all that. Now, we have essentially what comes up next. I didn't have an image for it because I don't think it was really that great of an image, but we have the kids being yelled at by the father of, so those elf kids that saved Toya in the first episode, we have them getting yelled at saying, listen, you don't want to bring calamity upon our village because if you do, you keep helping these drifters out, that's going to happen. That's what happens to anyone that gets involved with the drifters. And lo enough, actually, you start seeing then all of a sudden from the harvest, all these guys rise up and go, man, it's harvest season, but whatever. And then they start look like they're going to attack the village. Now, clearly they do attack the village because we start seeing giant flames appear from the village, and Toya, Oda, and Natsu run in toward the forest because they feel the war going on, the battle going on. Now, luckily enough, they run into the kids over here who are running and look like they've been slightly injured, and they are being chased by one of the villains, but Toya in his badass self is able to help them out, including with Oda. Oda shoots one of the guards, and then Toya slices the rest of them. So, they and remember, they can't speak the same language that Toya and his group could speak because they're Japanese, so their version is some kind of elf-like creature voice of some sort. So they can't speak that language. So what they do is, he's trying to tell them, hey, listen, just say help over and over again. Say help, and they finally realize help, and it's like, oh, okay. Then they go run off to the village. Now, during the village, there was a lot of uselessness from Oda and Natsu. Like, honestly, if you're expecting them to do anything during this whole sequence, don't. Because this is exactly what I figured would happen. I mean, I knew it instantaneously when I saw how the episode was going to proceed. We see Toya doing 99% of the work here. And don't get me wrong, that's awesome because Toya kicks ass. He goes off. Look at this image alone. Like, that's the one thing I'll say about Drifters. I love the art style, but I love Toya. He's awesome. He kicks so much ass. Now, he goes off and starts, beating all the crap out of every single guard and soldier there. And he gets all the way to the captain. The captain's like, oh, you drifters aren't going to take me down. And immediately is taken down by him. He throws his sword up in the air, goes, and then takes his sheath of his sword and slams it against the guy's face over and over again. And when he does, then the villagers watch this and like, oh, they're like shocked by this. And he turns around and he goes, you need to pick those up. He puts his finger toward the weapons of the deceased other enemies that he killed, and says, you need to pick those up and use them to protect your own village and kill this guy. And they don't fully understand right away what he means by that, but he keeps pointing at the weapons and pointing at the body, and I think they then realize what they must do. So they actually go take up the weapons of the fallen soldiers and begin to like essentially lynch the commander and kill him. And what's funny about that is then Oda goes, well, you did a good job. I was gonna come in and help, but here, you can sit down. Don't worry, you're good to go. And I'm like, wow, Oda, you did it. Natsu and Oda did absolutely jack shit this episode. I mean, Oda probably shot once, so he killed one person. Natsu, I don't think did crap except for talk about their ages. Like, for example, I think Toya's 30 years old, Natsu's 19, and of course Oda was like in his 50s, so I think he believes he's like 50 something years old. He said. Now, probably the more interesting moment of this, besides the fight, which was awesome, I'll say that right now, is the moment where we see the white room with all the doors all of a sudden get invaded by this thing called Easy, which is this girl that's like dressed all in black. She's very gothic-like, looks like a Lolita in many ways. And, she goes up to the guy in the chair. And what's funny about them is I guess they're two opposing forces, almost like light and darkness. That's what we're trying to get at. Because her darkness element around her is making everything behind her, black and void of color. And what's funny is that it can't push past him though. So he's pushing it back with his own power, which is I think pretty cool. So I guess these two have some, issues with one another because it clearly says that she knows that the drifters are being sent to this elfish place, but apparently she has troops over there set up already and she plans on taking that place. Now he's like, "You're not going to win, easy. You're not going to win at all. I'm going to have my drifters stop them." And then all of a sudden she snaps her fingers and the newspaper is reading changes to like this warning of a massacre at one of the battles or something like that over there, and it really surprises him. So I presume that maybe they know the future to a point, or maybe they're able to manipulate what's going on in that other world. So I mean that's interesting. What is this like supposed to be? Are they supposed to be like light and darkness? Maybe literally. I don't understand that fully yet, but I do like where it's going because I think that's interesting. Now I'll say this right here. We also see us. I didn't put it up, but I'm not probably not going to use the image. But I see that we have the other warriors that we saw from the first episode rising up, so they must be getting finally prepared to go into battle themselves. So that's going to be interesting. Now I'm going to say this right now. Drifters, I think, is right now awesome. I really do. The only thing I'm worried about it is that Hellsing had this very bad habit of having great battles and great sequences and great animation, but they were sometimes too lengthy of talks and not needed action and just more so times where there was nothing going on screen. Now, I have no issue with Drifters doing that in its episodic layout. I have no issue with that. I almost said reviews, by the way. But I just hope that it, kind of goes between, action and talking. Because that's one thing I think Ultimate did very poorly. Ultimate was only, I think, 6 episodes? Maybe, no, I think it was longer than that because I know it was 3 DVD/Blu-rays came out for it. I believe it was more than maybe 12 episodes. I can't remember exactly, so I apologize for that top of my head. But I'm sorry, I think it was like 10 episodes that were almost like an hour long each. So, I mean, it was a decent amount of time. But the thing is that my issue with Hellsing Ultimate is that there was like the last 2 episodes for those hours were just talk. I hope Drifters doesn't follow that same mold. So I really hope it goes into this and kind of, dials it back a little bit, focuses on both action and talking. That's what I hope. Anyways, though, I do still like Drifters. I think it's actually probably one of the better shows of the season, to be honest. So I definitely can't wait for episode 3. I would love to know how you guys thought of this episode. I know many of you probably have already seen this episode because when I've heard, apparently there was a preview episode of this already out. So I'm not really surprised by that. But you let me know what you thought of this episode. And as always, guys and girls, I will talk to you later. Have a great, blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.